And I could go and eat pie on that bridge. I'm actually afraid. I'm actually a little freaked out to do it. I'm actually a little freaked out. People have died here.
And it's right where you are right now.
For real. Hold on a second. Let me just get this up. Can you guys see?
Yeah.
Yeah, creepy road.
Yeah, this is for real, guys.
Of man-hours have been unable to produce any clues.
We have a few leads, a few other options we want to take advantage of, and just try to put together some pieces as possible.
Do you believe the occult may be involved in the disappearance?
Graffiti on this bridge that says, "I do not want to die."
Fucking deer.
He broke me. It says, he broke me. Right here. He broke me.
Was that Mike writing about
When he was leaving Comicscape. Yeah, he broke me.
I don't know. What the fuck is this? Can you guys see this? It's a murder weapon.
What is it? Oh.
Ew, it's bloody. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting out of here, though, because this is kind of fucked up. Cecil, I hear voices out here, all right? I hear voices. I gotta get out of here.
What if Ethan was murdered and Andrea's at home watching this? Live.
All right, let me see if I can get out of here. Yeah. You hear that?
Nosfero, does this word not sound like the death bird culling the living dead at dawn? It is the name both ghouls and demons dare not say, for they know it means death for the undead.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you? People always call them madness someplace. I hate to even think about it.
Good evening. Welcome to the wonderful horror-filled Waffle Lodge. And again, I got to watch my pronunciation on that. I am joined by someone who depressed me only 1 minute before the stream started by showing me that he has had Chick-fil-A. How are you doing, sir? Today we're going to be talking about
Sir,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
please don't don't hate me because you can't dine with me.
That's right, man. That is
Oh,
right.
yeah. You'll find I have this cup a lot. In fact, it's been memed. It's been memed before.
Right on.
Man, I am so happy to be here. I'm so excited. You brought me on for this, and I guess Spike kind of wants to join in, so he's hopping
course,
up to
man.
take a look around too. And I couldn't wait to get into. Oh, did you want to talk terror first, or?
I just wanted to point out to the fine folks here
Yes.
how close we are to 70K. That's
Mhm.
it. And I just wanted to put that out there. All right,
Spike's
go
excited.
ahead, brother. You are here.
We are almost to 70. Everybody, thanks so much for your support. Get the word out on this book. I think it's too cool. People are not going to want to miss this.
Right on.
Anyway, so tonight is special, man. Tonight, we are going back, way back to an original, to an OG. And it's the perfect time to do it because tomorrow night, Stranger Things Volume 4 finishes up.
Right
And
on.
so far, it's been nothing short of an homage or even love letter to, or a even straight up lifted of Nightmare on Elm Street. The idea of a boogeyman you can't really escape from. He's in your mind. He's on another plane. And he's killing you from it. And there's a bunch of teenagers running around screaming about it, and no one's listening to them. So what are we talking about, people? We're talking about a little movie made in 1984. Wes Craven made it for a little over $1 million. It's called A Nightmare on Elm Street. Hells yeah, baby. The movie that back when I was a kid, all the like slightly older kids talked about with terror in their voices, and it made me all the more afraid to see it. And once I did, dang, I understood, because this was amazing. This didn't just impact horror forever. It gave us a new boogeyman forever, Freddy Krueger. And yeah, man, I'm really excited to get into it. Stranger Things pretty much has, openly said, hey, we're doing Nightmare on Elm Street this season. And it's been so great. And it's made me go back and watch the original Nightmare on Elm Street with my mom recently. And so it's been on my mind a little bit. And so I'm glad we're doing it, man.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, you inspired me to. I mean, it's funny. I always tell the story about how my first Halloween mask, over the head Halloween mask, was the Wolfman, the original Wolfman Don Post. My second over the head Halloween mask was Freddy Krueger. So
Nice.
I love Freddy Krueger. Love these movies. The first one is just an insane masterpiece. And
Right.
It's great.
Isn't it? It's just everything it needed to be was more into the story and just simple visuals, and instead of just over the top stuff, which kind of came later in the series. But yeah, like low budget horror goodness and just done well. And look what you get, like an amazing movie. I was Freddy Krueger one Halloween. I thought he was amazing because he was just so like that. His weapon is something he made to torture people with. And like, it's clearly his favorite weapon. You know what I mean? And it's kind of lifted from that classic, like boogeyman with a hook for her hand type mythos, but they took it next level and made it a claw. And that's just so badass to me. So iconic.
It is, man. It's the thing we're talking about here when we talk about movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, going back to 1984, are these movies that are independent. They've got rough edges on them, and this is the thing that got me. This is the stat that gets me about Nightmare on Elm Street. 91 minutes, which I find that incredible. What they created, the mythos they made in 91 minutes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Good stuff. And the use of a spinning room in a way that, that just made it all the more horrific, and people didn't even know how they did it. And you can look it up on YouTube, but it's pretty wild stuff. It's wild stuff. But it was so cool. It was perfect for the time. It's 1984, and teenagers, as always, aren't being listened to. And parents are denying the real problems and focusing on all the the ones that we know are just, nonsense now. But at the time, like, everyone was freaked out by them,
Yeah.
And it was great. It's like a group of teens. We got one wrong. One gets killed in her sleep. There she is on the ceiling, Tina, getting just gutted in front of her boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing he can do. She's up there, he's down there. They're using this awesome revolving room thing set up to make this happen. Great. So, and it just looks as real. I mean, it is real. So, I mean, yeah, it's just good classic trick photography that works. And yeah, totally horrific. There's blood everywhere. He gets blamed. He's on the run. Everybody's saying he didn't do it. He couldn't have done it, but none of the adults listen. And that's this great theme in this movie that really resonates with teen audiences. Your parents never listen, no matter what you say. They don't care.
Yes.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. And they're young. They're in, the safety of suburbia where nothing ever happens. Nothing bad ever happens,
Not on Elm Street.
Yeah, not on Elm Street, but right off of Hawkins, now we're in Stranger Things, man. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, they're people that you can identify with. A great cast of young actors who are that you're able to identify with. And this movie did some things we hadn't seen before. It's really the dreams and the idea of the nightmares and the idea of the nightmares being things that are really happening. You said it great, man. Parents not believing.
And it's so interesting at the time. Freddie, let's just there's no ifs and buts. Like, he's a pedophile. Like, he's a abusive, sadistic, just rapist, murderer. You know what I mean? Torturer of children. And so in a way, when the parents got together and had to give their own justice, you're kind of like, hell yeah. And that's what happened, guys. Like, the story of this is they came together and they did their own vigilante justice, and they burnt Freddie in his, creepy boiler room thing, right? They locked it, they burned him alive in there. So now he comes back, I guess, a generation later to come after their kids in their dreams and get revenge on them for burning him up. So this is like, in a weird way, it's the boogeyman's revenge story.
Yeah.
Right. But it's
they
also
use that phrase too. It's anchored to these things that don't scare us anymore. The boogeyman's going to get you. I mean, even when I was a kid, we were like, the boogeyman really, but this made that real, man. This reinvented this old myth. Horrifying.
Yeah, what do you think of the Freddy character design?
Oh my God, man, I love it. But you know what? It doesn't matter in a sense. What I think about it. This should not sell merchandise, and it does. So the customer is always right. This should not be somebody that we want to dress up as to exercise our own demons, but we do. Culture wins.
Well, yeah. For real, like, he's a horrifyingly evil bad guy. He's not. He's ugly as hell. You're definitely not getting laid that night on Halloween. You know what I mean? You're doing it for the love, and because when you're Freddy, there's an energy to him. There's a fun to him. There's a lot of one-liners that come out of him that are pretty great and sadistic and evil, and people just love it. People laugh at it. So that's part of a lot of chicks started being hot Freddy, obviously, but what don't they, make the sexy version of? But like, I dated chicks who are like, but they love Freddy. Yeah. He was such an instant hit, and that's what's so great about him. You can run away from Michael Myers, right?
Right on.
You can't, but you got to sleep sometime.
You've got to go to sleep sometime, man.
That was so creepy to me.
Well, and that's the crazy thing about it, right? Is that you've got all these kids who are now, of course, older than us by a bit. I look at Johnny Depp in this, and I'm like, going, "You were never that young, man. You were."
He was Peter Pan with his little midriff showing.
Oh
with his
my
little
God,
80s,
I know.
Like crew. Yeah, tank top or whatever.
Dude, it's amazing. So and you see this stuff. Aye, Captain. It's good to see you, Admiral. It's one of those things to where when I'm looking at the character design, you were talking about it, and I think we get the monsters that we need. And this sort of trickster character who uses your fears that exist in your dreams, they exist in the unconscious, and you can't run from them. was something that was like, these parents are trying to protect their kids by making this thing go away, but the thing underneath it doesn't go away. And that's
right.
Oof.
And so that's some great compelling stuff, like the classic small town America suburb with the dark secret come back to haunt everyone and make them pay for it through their children. That's classic stuff.
Yeah.
And the idea that the parents were in denial about it, which was weird.
Yes.
Like they did it. Like they did it. They killed, or at least when they were kids, their parents did it, right?
I believe. Oh gosh, you know what? I'm trying to remember.
Freddie was taken out like in the 50s or 60s, I think.
Whenever that sweater was in fashion, and honestly, it's well. I mean, this is the thing that's about. I had always thought, because the parents do remember him, or it's at least less than one generation away, I would think, between them. So they know the story well enough. But when you think about it, if this is his first launch into murder, it's got to be recent.
Right.
If he's getting revenge on the kids, but
Yeah, because if we had screwed up Freddie and my kids came to me and they're like, "Oh, Freddie's coming for us," I'd be like, we burn him alive. Chill. I wouldn't be all like, "Let's not talk," and whatever, and freak out like their mom did, You're like, we got him. You're seeing him? That's weird. Okay.
Would you say
classic? The story needed to be, what really teenagers feel like, which is no one listens to you. You say you have a problem, the adults are too caught up in their own nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They just don't want to listen. And you've got Nancy, right, running around. Is it Nancy? It's Nancy.
It's
right?
Nancy. It's actually Nancy. Yes, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
and Stranger Things.
Almost like they had Stranger Things. Yeah, exactly. And it's a great 80s. That's like an 80s name you'd run into too back then. Yes, like for sure. She's a great final girl. What do you think about her, man?
I think she's great. I think she's relatable. And Real Sean Crummel has in the chat this question I think is great. What's the deeper philosophical meaning of a town taking justice into their own hands and creating an even worse monster? Well, that's something there.
In a weird way, that gives Freddie a justice edge to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a despicable demon, but there's like a kind of like, well, now look what you made. You gave him power, if anything. But remember what's the deeper meaning of what they have to do to defeat Freddy? They have to bring him into our reality and then take him out physically. So we have to bring the problems right in front of people until then they're not seeing it.
Well, you got Admiral saying that I live on the Elm Street that it is named for. Wes Craven went to Wheaton College. Wow.
That's killer.
My mom's name is Nancy, no relation. Fair enough,
All right.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing that gets me about this, right, is that when we talk about character design and creating and telling stories, which you and I are both unbelievably passionate about, these things have a certain idiosyncrasy or idiosyncratic nature to them that makes that we don't know what's going to make the icon of horror. What's going to be the thing? Like,
right.
Really lasted at this point. I mean, it's academic at this point.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's what was great about him for me as a kid growing up in the 80s, I was still very young when this came out, and I would hear from like my 17-year-old babysitter, like she would tell me these stories about Michael Myers, tell me about Freddy Krueger, and my little young mind is exploding with horror and imagination, right? And so before I ever even saw the movies, like these guys already were like the scariest boogeymen ever. So in a weird way, seeing them though, because I'm a horror fan, I guess, like it made me just love them more. Like it was this shot right here. Like this is everything. Every time you think you're like at your most comfortable, you start to fall asleep and he gets let right in. And that image of like the young girl's legs and the claws coming up. I mean,
this is the 1980s awesome. In a nutshell. And I want to also say that, and by that, I mean, just the horror of those inflatable bath pillows. That
the mildew alone.
Yeah. And this is the thing too. Nancy is then drug underwater, right?
Oh yeah.
In that sequence. And every corner, whether it's your bathtub, wherever it is no longer safe. And plus, you know, we get into the downright Jungian with that, dragged into the realm of the unconscious, you know, the water. I mean, this is unreal in terms of the artistry of something. Like you said, this stuff had to be done practically. I remember them talking about the setup for that scene and getting, you know, the setup for this to make it believable, the room spinning. This was practical stuff, and it's echoing the strength of Nightmare on Elm Street and Nightmare on Elm Street is that the bones of this have echoed so strongly that the most popular program or show being released right now, which I would say is Stranger Things current season, is built on it. You can't say it any fairer than that. It's incredible.
When there's Evil Dead 2. So when you're able to make the horror of it kind of resonate with what teenagers are dealing with, that's just magic, man. That's just like ticket sales, you know, but it also just makes it last. When you watch this movie, you feel the adults are so out of it and out of touch. You feel like it's this cool feeling of like, you hope, you know, the kids are going to band together and make it and somehow make it through this. But to me, what was one of the cooler images that they did was when Nancy's at school. And her friend shows up in a body bag, leaving a trail of blood behind. And
that
gets dragged.
Is one of those all time. I mean,
Tina.
get on that, folks.
That's cool.
That's some scary and amazing.
And you don't see Freddy.
What's
cool. That's what made it better. Yeah. It's you know, because Freddy doesn't want to fully come out yet. He's drawing you in right now. He baits you. He's playing with you. He's pulling you. He's always seducing you in some way. Whether it's, you know, he turns into a nurse with big old boobies. Or he's, you think you're talking on the telephone and then a tongue comes out and starts like yakking at you. The reality becomes his plaything, and that's part of the horror as well. You don't know what's going to happen next. You know, Ricky Lake might show up, and she's a big Freddy fan, apparently.
It happens, you know. I mean,
monitor.
Oof. And then you get, you know, your shots like this and the intensity, and that's the thing about
England, man.
Yeah, man, what a great
he
face.
made this. He made this.
He did.
He made this for better or for worse. I love it, man. He's like, I don't know. Part of the fun of Freddy later became that he was more comical, but in this movie, no way, man. He is a killer who loves killing and cannot wait to cut you up. He's
No, it's interesting when when we're talking about this stuff. I keep going back to that question. And what's up, Lord Crackhead 33, Admiral Wackass, Comics Mate, Ellie Munoz, and Real Sean Crummel. And I think we have Replicant in here. Look at all you fine people in here. It is great to see you guys here. And I'm just gonna and James Hayes, thank you for always bringing the positive. Odin as well, thank you for being here. Much love, man. And Stephen Rockwood, of course, Hicks villain. The thing I gotta say, Leg Kick One, is that when that question came up before about what does it say about the parents trying to cover this up and take justice into their own hands, to me, obviously they have to keep a secret because they've committed, for all intents and purposes, vigilante justice and a crime. But the other aspect of it is it's almost like their desire to make this aspect just go away and rewrite the history of their town, because it's almost, not only are they keeping a secret, the town isn't even talking about the guy ever existing. So it's not like there was once this child killer, because presumably kids, go missing and everything like that. That never happened. Like, it all gets erased.
Right. It was definitely them trying to cover up their past and cover up their old wounds so that they could maintain this, their happy town. But it was interesting because, like, the way they burnt him alive to do their justice too.
Yeah.
Like, this was like more than just murder. This was like an exorcism, dude.
It was.
Like, they were trying to exorcise the demon and had to burn all traces of him from the earth, And so he shows up again as this vengeful spirit, just coated in all the burn, like just pure burns, and it created this character somehow that just captured. Right when you see him with the fedora, like the choice for the hat and everything.
Yeah.
Like, damn, he's so horrific, yet there's something so cool about him. Like, if you look at some of the old ads from Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and other, like, shots of Freddy smiling with the glove, like, there's almost, like, a weird, like, he's kind of cool, you know, like,
yes,
like, feeling to him. He was, like, he became a star, man. He had his own TV show, Freddy's Nightmares, a little bit later. Like, this thing blew up.
It did.
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad for a guy who doesn't, you know, fit the mold of what you would think. I mean, they're thinking we're going to make a movie and hopefully some people will see it. We've got some successful slasher films going on, but this is the thing that's crazy. You give an average premise, you know, the slasher film, to a creative mind, and you get something like this that works with practical effects. The idea of just changing the environments. And Hail John, great to see you in here. And yes, the 80s tried hardest to bring the fedora back in style. Right on.
Timberlake tried.
Yeah. But you know, it's like they think about how amazing that is as both a financial problem solved, but also an emotional problem solved. They wake up in their reality and you're like, oh no, like we've all had that. If you've ever woken up and known you were in a nightmare or a dream and you're in the place that you know and you're like, oh no. Hey, what's up, Sarah? Great to see you.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I've had
one of
some
those
problems
things.
waking up when I shouldn't have, or wake in my dream going, no, when is this going to stop?
Absolutely.
Usually when I know it's a dream, I can wake myself up pretty quick these days.
Well, that's because Freddy wasn't in it. I mean, that's obviously, you know, Freddy wasn't there. So when we're looking at this kind of stuff, I mean, I look at this and think about the idea of the invention and the inventiveness of this film. And I think it's 91 minutes. How, like, you need just enough time to make something great and not a minute more. You know, enough is as good as a feast, as they say. And
That's
it's
the perfect amount for a low budget horror too. Like it's just it's, you know, another 30 minutes and that's a lot of budget.
Yes.
Like
it is. Yeah. Well, you would know it from your filmmaking background. Was this the sort of stuff that inspired you as a young filmmaker?
Yeah, like I've had a love of Freddy for a while. I remember this guy in one of my film classes. What a dunce. He was like, I have an idea for a Nightmare on Elm Street movie where they bring Freddy. Freddy wants to break into our reality to just get us. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how Freddy works. And he was like, oh no, but I Wikipedia'd him. And I'm like, you're gonna need to watch the movies, dude. Like that's his weakness. Like your whole script is bonkers. He started freaking out. Anyway, okay. So like I've loved Freddy for a while. It was influential because it's such a good intertwining of good story and slasher. Yes. And like to me, if I ever want to make a slasher, which there is a piece of, you know, in my, you know, as a writer, there's as a creator, there's this part of you that's like, I want to do my werewolf story. I want to do this. Of course, I want to do a slasher. So, and when I think of slashers, the first one I think of is Nightmare on Elm Street. So I think the story standard in that is so good. That's what, it shows you how you can intertwine like a good, relevant, and poignant story that hits with just like good old fashioned slasher craziness and fun and you know, a world where Freddy kind of seems to run everything.
Well, it's so funny too, because they really figured out some of the classic nightmares that we have, but I'm always amazed at the nightmares that people can't figure out where they came from that are so obvious. My favorite one being, I would always ask my students when I was teaching, talking about this, is how many of you guys have had a nightmare where all of your teeth fall out? And they would all just go, oh my gosh, yes, I've had dreams where all my teeth have fallen out. And I said, yeah, that's terrifying. And I'd go, you know, that's a very common dream. Why do you think we all have that? And they were just sitting there and they were going, well, it's like about insecurity. It's about this and it's about that. And, you know, they went down this whole list. And I said,
and you were like, it's about gingivitis.
Yeah, no, actually, I was like, it's about the fact that every single person in this room had every one of their teeth fall out. And it was so traumatic, they blanked it out.
Ooh.
Did you just feel that?
Oh,
every one of the teeth in your head fell out at some point
in slow motion,
and you never forgot it. that those teeth could come out and how unnerving that must have been as an early memory before you really understood it. Not 5 teeth in, maybe 2 or 3 in. It was something that you went, ah, and that's why we've got it.
That's why you associate it with many tooth minus traumas throughout your life. And every time, and even with the tooth, I mean, I associate it with like money under my pillow too.
John's, I need to go brush my teeth.
Oh,
man. Yeah. Oh, here you go. I have dreams where I'm chewing and crunching my teeth. Last time was probably when I had 2 root canals. Yeah, I mean, guys, these are the things that are elemental. And for me, the trying to run to the end of a hallway, the trying to run upstairs, the trying to get away and not move fast enough, the not being able to get yourself and your footing on the ground.
The ground stinks beneath your feet.
Yep. Ooh, that was gross.
That happens in Nightmare on Elm Street, guys.
Yeah.
That, you know, what I loved is Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, where the kids realize in the dreams they can stick it back to Freddy, and now it's like a whole new ball game of badassery. That was amazing. But none of the movies were ever as poignant and just hit home the story of, like, you know, dark secrets, you know, people, you know, denial of the kids saying we've got real problems, please help us, and the parents just aren't helping. Just great for the time too, for the 80s, you know. All her friends are dying, she can't save them. It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, and this is the thing though, right? There's everybody's got secrets. The kids are hiding, they're adults now. The kids are hiding that they're having boys sleep over and that they're sexually active in the case of our girl. Oh my God, 4 letters.
Tina,
thank you. I always struggle with that. It's so hard when you know the actress. Yeah. you know their name, and then you try to like remember what their actual character name is.
It's hard to remember character names in general for everybody from what I've like read. Like that's just a fact. But
it's, I mean, she's like with this dude, and this dude is kind of, you know, a dude for lack of a better way of putting it. But she does apparently enjoy his company and keeps others
Tommy?
up at night. Yeah,
I think, was it Tommy?
I think it was. Yes,
like one of those Tommy Billy names from the 80s. Anyway, yeah, he was awesome. Leather jacket, you know, guy. He was Latino, which I think they might mention in the movie. You get a little hint of the racism towards him a little bit, but maybe not. I could be wrong on that. But like they do, like it does stand out in the movie from what I remember in some way. And they end up having Freddy come for him in his cell, make it look like he committed suicide, which was a classic thing going on with teens in the 80s. You know, big the whole teenage suicide thing. And everyone was going, what's going on? What could be happening? You know, no one's actually asking the teens what the problem is. You know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think this is, and it was a thing that, you know, like many of these crises, it did not affect the lower classes, quote unquote, economically as much as it did the middle class. Like there were a lot of aspects to this particular culture and this particular demographic that was unique to this boom time. It was like the Echo 50s, as a lot of people called it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have these parents who were creating these suburban, you know, paradise where no trouble could harm their kids. The problem is that you bring yourselves there, and you don't, you know, and you're not going to keep these kids frozen in time, which is why the jump rope is such a terrifying concept in this movie. Kids jumping rope and singing, man. But you know, he's not there. He's not in her home because he broke in. You know what I mean? She invited him in, you know, and he's just as terrified because their great fear with him, we can only guess, is what he's already up to. And, you know, the thing that interested me so much about it was the fact that he's horrified by what he experiences, and he's
covered in her blood.
He's just
sucks. Like it just sucks, like from a evidence standpoint, you know what I mean? Like, and he kind of has to run, you know? And so it becomes a movie about proving his innocence until he's offed in his cell by Freddy. Bed sheet floats up. There's Freddy hanging in the cell.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
And what could be more terrifying than those red, green, Norman Rockwell Christmas colors and put them together, and you've got something really terrifying. And that's part of the icon. It's horror movies always can lean heavily into red, green. It's a classic. The Shining and every movie that addresses it. We'll play around with the whole red, green. But for him to be walking around with this hat and these kinds of stairs, bars, horizontal stripes, not on the sleeves. I mean, it's what an icon right there. What an icon, It's like the opposite of Bogart right there with that hat.
He himself is a walking nightmare walking towards you, even when he's, not doing crazy shit. It's part of the awesomeness. Good old Nancy. Yeah.
Yeah, Nancy.
Don't kill my Johnny Depp. Don't you dare. Don't you kill my Johnny. That's what she's saying.
That's what she's saying.
And things are going to happen. Things will transpire. Johnny has to sleep at some point.
Yes, he does. He can't just be about.
He's a nice boyfriend.
Yeah,
in this movie, he's a nice guy boyfriend.
You know what the problem I have with him is?
What?
He looks a lot like another character on another show we watch.
21 Jump Street?
Nope.
Oh.
He looks a little bit like a character on Stranger Things, and that is my chief concern at the moment.
Oh, you think he looks like Steve Harrington?
Yeah. Well, let's just say we've got a Steve who's dating a girl potentially named Nancy, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, man.
Yeah.
that ain't good.
This guy's got to go.
Yeah.
He's gonna touch a lot of girls' hearts at home, and then he's got to. And when he dies, I rewatched his death recently, like today, actually. Ooh, reach out and lick some chick.
Oh, the phone turning into the mouth.
That's some creepy pedophile stuff, man.
That it is.
It's horrific.
Someone had to build that too. That's the crazy thing about practical effects.
And yet, it goes with the whole you can't get away from him. Even in the most least likely places he's there. He's licking. It's not fun. It's like my dog. And then Nancy's like, Mom, I'm telling you, and she's like, I just want to drink box wine. And then there's her boyfriend going up in style. I don't think anyone has that many pints of blood, but that's why it's so cool. I think so. They're using the spinning room to just dump this and make it look like it's just a bunch of blood exiting. I love this death. It's over the top in all the right ways. It's horrific. You don't see Freddy. It's just like blood just going at it towards the ceiling like crazy. It's like something out of a. Like it to me, it's evil. Like to me, this is like something you in an old book on witchcraft. You would see like a picture that's like a woodcut of a bed with like the blood shooting up, like and hitting the. You know what I'm saying? Like it reminds me of a more like ritualistic death in a weird way, even though it's Freddy just being crazy.
I just don't. This is the other thing for me, right? So for I'm sure all of you guys in the chat may know this. For those of you guys who don't. Vaughn and I are both comic book creators, and we're both indie comic book creators. We love working and collaborating on projects, which Vaughn and I have done very recently, like not last 24 hours. And the thing I have to say about this stuff is when I see things like this is so easy to do in comics. This is so easy to do in our art form. It's not even that hard these days. Granted, it would take maybe some models, maybe some 3D, but it could be done. I've seen amazing miniature skills out there and amazing 3D modeling skills out there. But you have to have the both the technical skill and the imagination. And that's what we get here. I mean, it is, and they don't show this, but in this sequence, one of the most amazing things that happened was that the weight of the blood on the upside down room got to be so much that the room tilted, and they have this great shot of the blood sliding across the ceiling in one direction. And it is absolutely the most beautiful aesthetic of horror I've ever seen.
It's mind-bending, terrific. It's dreams and reality colliding visually without the use of a single computer or anything. It's just good old-fashioned blood and gravity. That's awesome. The inventiveness that is necessitated by low budget is always astounding to me. It's always a beautiful thing to watch. Movies like this, when you watch them today, they're still good as ever because solid story creates. It's kind of like, think of it like preserving a body.
Yes, it is.
Or something, right? Like a solid story, like it's preserved forever and can be appreciated as a work of art forever, you know? And this is a good one.
Jay Ryan, the box wine just exploded. That's absolutely right. Yeah,
that's when the mom first saw that.
Admiral's going after him right now. Admiral's like going, Johnny shouldn't have slept like a bitch. Johnny Depp, let's be real.
You have to understand what made Nightmare on Elm Street so good too was the use of images like that, man. That blood shooting up, Freddy coming at her for the first time with the stretching arms that get really long, or really impossibly long, like things like that. Those image choices, her friend in the body bag getting dragged around, man. That's where you need to be inventive visually, while sticking to your budget, right? In comics, you can go as big as you want, but definitely watch a movie like Nightmare on Elm Street and say, what visuals do they use to really like hit home some stuff? Because to me, these would work in a comic too and look awesome.
Hail, Michael. Good to see you here, brother. Reminds me of something I just drew for John. There you have it. Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm in Comics Gate. This is why I'm hanging out with the people that I get to be around right now. Is that in our books, the blood flows, the youthful sort of artistic energy. I should say the vitality of life is in our stuff.
The spirit of youth. It comes alive.
You know, it's funny too because
someone told me I was like the joy of the 80s, like pure joy of the 80s in storytelling. Who said that? Was that you? Did someone else say that?
I'm sure I've said it.
You do some great compliments, but yeah.
Oh, Heidi, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blew my sight. Hey, Heidi. There's people singing for Heidi right here in the chat, man. They saying, hey, Bancroft. I keep saying movies don't feel like they're made by artists anymore. It takes no ingenuity to do just on the computer. There's no craftsmanship anymore. And I think it's the limitation sense, you know, because if you have limits and you don't even know what they are and you don't push them, it almost doesn't matter if the limits are there. It's that perfect balance. Yeah, first rule on Elm Street, never sleep. Indeed. You
Get
know,
a spoon of coffee grinds and drink it down with the Coke. Remember that?
Yeah, well, you know, I've been known.
I love that.
I've been known. Like, see, I think I would have been fine in this world.
It's horrible. Don't do it. Yeah,
I know. I just would have been sitting there going, you know, I would have had.
Come on, Freddie, you bitch.
You know, exactly. Oh,
I dare you. I dare you.
Well, you know, this is the crazy thing about it. Yeah. This suburbia, this neighborhood, as it's seen, with the exception of the hell-like boiler room and Freddy Krueger, is so clean. And you've even got
America.
Yeah, Johnny Depp is driving a car I would never let a kid his age drive. Okay, let's be real about that. That car is too nice for him to have, but it's perfect for the movie. Yeah, he's Johnny. It manifests around him, man, you know?
Yeah.
And then in the end, you know, the hood comes over and Amber Heard jumps. Never mind. The point is that, you know, and crabs tug. But this is the thing when we're looking at this flick, right? We think about the 80s had one thing I think that was very important outside of one glove. Thank you, Michael. May you rest in peace. But also claws were a thing. Claws were a thing in the 80s.
You're right. Good point.
Vega,
Ninja Claws,
Ninja Claws, Wolverine.
All kinds of claws, man. Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget.
We loved claws.
Claws are cool.
Yeah.
Vega had a good claw.
Mm-hmm.
These are cool things. You're right.
Yeah.
Freddy seemed to kind of have the coolest claw of them all, didn't he? Like the most brutal, barbaric, scary claw that you could do cool poses. You know what I mean? Every kid had to have that claw.
They did. Well, and that's and then here's the real question, right? This is the issue of that I think why Freddy Krueger is important. Why, whenever Freddy Krueger was committing his crimes, was probably very much in the aftermath of, you know, the huge boom in serial killers that happened in the 70s and 60s and all of that.
We had a pedophile scare in the 80s as well.
Yes,
startup.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
And they had the Enter the Dragon Claw, perfect. Yeah, absolutely right. We even had the Enter the Dragon actor in here as the father of Nancy, for God's sake, which is kind of amazing.
That's bad.
And you see this stuff, and you guys had to think about how amazing this is, which is people who have been and the youth who have been overly sheltered, but will nonetheless have to grow up to be adults. If things are going to go on, they're going to have to deal with reality, aren't they? They're going to have to deal with sex. That's where they came from. You wouldn't know it with the general portrayal of parents outside of the mom's off with her boyfriend or whatever else. But the fact that this is a world of, dare I say, horror, and they have to be strong enough for it, but they can't go to their parents for the full story. So they're basically left with parents who grew up with no tradition of this horror in the real sense. World War II, yes, Vietnam, yes, all of these things, but World War II, the Nazis, the fall of France, that kind of thing.
What?
And so
wait. We're in Elm Street. How are we in France?
Exactly. Well, right. It's like so when you talk about he was taken out, I'd love someone in the chat to let me know this, but it does make me think he was taken out. It would make so much sense culturally if he had been taken out by the grandparents, by the parents, because they're the ones who took out the big baddie from Germany.
I think when the mom recounts the story to Nancy, she was a kid witnessing her parents kill Freddy.
That's what it is, man. You've got it.
And then she grew up to have her own kids, and now her kids are under the gun because he's looking for new, he's an evil vengeful spirit of Elm Street.
God, it's so good, man, isn't it?
It's great, man.
It's we can tell. I want everybody who is out there right now to think about what that, just over $1 million budget they spent on this was to do things we can do for cheaper. Like the tech to capture images, video images is so much cheaper than it ever was. Listening to film go through a camera, and I know this is a filmmaker, when you realize how much it costs, when you realize how much 35 costs, that sound of action, then you're like, it's a horrifying feeling of how much money is going through that camera. Sad face. Yeah. Sad face.
Definitely. It can be a little scary. Yeah.
And then the lens cap is
they had a solid script, and they made a movie that worked, and they made great choices for the actors. They made great for the most part. I kind of think the mom is kind of hilarious over the top with her acting. But that kind of made it more fun and cheesy and 80s. But but they just did a good job overall, and it just turned into this, like, it turned into its own boogeyman tale that you could tell someone without them seeing the movie. Like, there's a guy, he's got knives for fingers, and he's in your dreams, and he comes for you, and it's just like, oh God, that's horrific, and I think that's what's cool. But it's weird how Freddy became a character we all kind of wanted to be, because he's just like Mr. Magical one-liner badass too. So it's a lot of interesting things happened from this movie. Wasn't Wes Craven? He was fresh off of making Swamp Thing when he made this. I think.
Was he?
I think so.
He might have been. I don't know.
Which is really cool, because he did a lot with very little in Swamp Thing too.
Yes, he did.
You know what I mean? And that's a comic book movie ahead of its time, man. That movie rules. Anyway, and no one else was doing comic book movies like that. Anyway, so like he moves into doing Nightmare on Elm Street, and like that's what he hit with, man. That was his breakout, right?
Yep. Magic.
And to me, it's like the perfect drive-in movie too. So like I do study that movie. It inspires me to try to write a story that could like hit with teens in such a cool, horrific way. I don't think I have it yet, but someday, Shanth.
Well, with the Duffer Brothers, when you sent me that link, I was like, there they are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're making this happen, but we need comics, man. I look at this and I just think we need comics to be doing this. We're absent of comics. Comics can do horror like no other art form. Yeah. And that's the thing about it too. According to the official fictional timeline, Freddy was killed by the parents of that neighborhood.
Okay.
In 1968. So he was killed in 1968. So that's right on with our serial killer timelines and trying to, erase, that's proper height of the 60s, culture. And the that youth culture time into the early 70s.
Free love.
Free love. And a bunch of kids. Dream Warriors was awesome too. You're darn right it was. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Carbo. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is, and so yeah, I look at this stuff and I think, look at this
they kill him.
Look at this character, and look at what we're doing here. It's like we've got all these, we've got this the quietness under suburbia, the quietness of what's going on. And I do think that right now we're living in a time, funny enough, that's going to be a time a lot of people try to similarly deny in about 10 years. I don't know if you get that sense, but I feel like we're in the late 70s. I think some days, like we're in 76, 77. And we're going to, during the Carter administration or something.
We're definitely at the gas price and inflation and economic levels.
That we do.
Worse. Yeah.
And there's this weird thing that happens generationally with people whenever people get what's the word I'm looking for? Whenever society kind of embraces chaos and subjectivism, there's always a lot of people who go along with it. But then, as we all know, in like 10 years out, they'll be like, what are you talking about? It's not what I was like. I didn't believe that. Unfortunately, there's going to be quite the record, right? The digital record. Hail, Rob. What's up, brother?
Oh, they're losing their minds these days. It's great.
Yeah, they are. But the art isn't really speaking to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wonder what's going to happen to SJW art whenever, like, it's just gone. I was watching this. I'm watching this anime, right? Mm-hmm. And it's about two guys that want to make their dream come true and become manga artists. So you're getting to learn about like what it's like to break into the manga world. Okay. And their whole thing is like story. People want story. They want story. The art has to be a good standard and look hot, look good, look cool. But like story, like that's all they care about. And America went the other way. And it made me realize this harder like than ever. Like America went the other way. We're about identity, celebrate you, identity. That's how you get the job now. And we pushed aside all these great artists. So it's so cool. We have the internet, we have Comicsgate, we've got all these cool artists coming together to do some of the best work they've ever done and crowdfunded now, which is that's cause and effect.
When people ask where did the people come from, the answer is they were always there. They were waiting for the audience in the forum to put their artwork out there. Because it didn't just happen. None of these people learned how to be filmmakers overnight. They were studying. They were working. Absolutely. Yeah, keeping receipts. I love Odin saying here, I never tried to cancel anyone. It was those crazy-ass weirdos. Yeah, that's going to be one of the biggest ones that you're going to see. I was never puritanical. I never, did this. I never tried to chase the D&D kid out of town. You know what I mean? It's a lack of sort of self-awareness. But the thing about it is
they need to lighten up at least.
Well, I think they need to lighten up. And they need to own the fact that the one thing that people struggle with, this idea of their own personal purity, right? That these things are possible in all of us. Like Freddy Krueger is an element of life that we wish was not there, but whether we like it or not. And these kids, as they come into adulthood, because it's not happening to he's not going after 8-year-olds when they're asleep. You know what I mean? He's going after, full-grown teenagers, and there's an aspect of it. They're snuffed out right when they're reaching that point where they have the poorest language possible for how to process all these big things they're experiencing. There's also data that is that if a child suffers from head trauma when young, they can grow up to be psychopaths. Bancroft, for example. Come on, Rob. You guys have to squash that beef, man. It's getting out of hand. No. So, yes, Real Sean Crummel. I always wonder if people that help the bad guys ever have a moment of self-reflection or if they're like fish that just keep swimming and never look back. I think it depends on the person. It really depends on the conscientiousness of the person.
Freddy's like a curse.
He is.
Like, more than a person in a weird way. Like, he's the curse over that town, over that street, over, he's coming after your kids again, just like he used to. He's right back to work. It's so creepy. And it's it's cool because they didn't really tell you how he came to be. He just is from the parents' wrath. You know what I mean? And that was kind of all the explanation we needed, you know. They didn't say like, oh, they killed him and then this happened and then no, the spirit came out, you know. No, it's more like mythical. It's more boogeyman. It's great. And he's, you know, he's coming back for his revenge. That's what this whole story is for him.
Yes.
And he's enjoying it. He's a sicko. You know, it's so interesting. He's not just a mindless slasher, and that made me like him more. You know.
Well, I think, you know, this is the other aspect of it, right? We talk about Halloween, and you know, the aspect of Halloween that is the one that I kind of enjoy the most and think serves the most important purpose, which is dressing up like a monster, inhabiting a monster, and embracing that aspect, the potential for you to put on the costume of a monster. Freddy Krueger comes into the pop culture scene, and instantly people want Halloween masks of him. People want to be able to dress like him. People want that glove that he uses for torture. And it's almost a way we can reconcile
cool gloves, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, every kid I know has that. And it's when I look at it, I think about the glove, and I think about how we as kids, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, all of these characters. But when you think about Jason was, you know, a man of few words, as was Michael Myers. Freddy is almost mocking the awkwardness of these teenagers. Like, he knows what their deepest, darkest fears and desires are. And he is the perfect mechanism for messing with their security, self-concept. I mean, he is cruelty, teenager, you know, based cruelty to the nth degree. It's incredible, man.
He's having the time of his death.
Yes.
Torturing them in their dreams, coming after them, turning into the things that scare the hell out of them, luring them in, you know, and then just playing with them. I mean, it's sadistic and it's awesome. It's a great villain. You know,
yes.
It gives you a lot to work with because your imagination is the limits. Here's Freddy coming through, you know, the membrane, piercing the condom of reality.
I mean, look at that, man. I mean, what a terrifying image. There were so many great images. And again, you know, I do believe several times in Stranger Things and Ghostbusters and a lot of these movies, you had the hand pressing through the wall. That was a very common 80s thing. Yes. Something pressing through the wall and coming through the wall, such as your security, man. And then you've got him rising out of your bed. Get out of here, man. You know, it's like nowhere is
not safe. Yeah.
Anywhere you go. And I think the trolling for Strange. Yeah. Let's see here. Philosophically, you could argue that he's the manifestation of the town's rage that drove them to take justice into their own hands and kill him. And you know what's interesting is he's the very cruelty that he visited upon these children, they visited upon him. So in his death, he was able to make them have the kind of cruel justice part of them wake up to torture them by setting him on fire. And he appears as this burned, scarred person and not as the way that he looked before when he comes back to haunt them. He's like this visual reminder of their own cruelty. Like, what happened to my body is what you did to me, and what your grandparents or your parents.
You could say his spirit runs on their wrath, and their vengeance is now, coming back to them. It's a classic and awesome, very universal tale, you know.
Yeah.
And I like it. It works so well for this boogeyman. It makes him more than just the killer. Why does he kill? We don't know. He's just evil. Like, this guy's got a bone to pick, man. And he's taking his time, enjoying it and everything. That's part of what makes him, I mean, that's part of what made me like Freddy, you know?
Yes.
Every teenager has different dreams. So also you get to see such different environments with him. You jump in these movies. And that's great, man. And it's horrific, man. You don't know if you're in a dream sometimes in this movie.
Oh my gosh, Zach Fernandez, was that intentional? Was that a $4.99 that turned into a $49.99 super chat, my friend? Dang. Oh my goodness, that is massive. I'm gonna go ahead and read it. The number of the words maybe, but I don't know. Bless your heart. Thank you, Zach Fernandez. I'm going to read this first, and then we shall salute you. I really loved all the 80s horror. The way I measure today's horror is how much of that messed up feeling I get at the end of it. What is the movie that did that for you over the past 10 years? That is a very good question.
Great question.
Wow, Zach, I got to leave that up while we think, and then we'll reward you. Yeah, and by the way, to quote Michael and Eric July, that ain't cheap.
No, that ain't cheap.
I feel like I got to hold on, brace your ears. I got to do an Eric July here. $49.99.
I got a movie's ending within the last 10 years that gave me that feeling. Messed me up, made me think, made me chew on it for a long time. Mm-hmm. And when I realized what the ending actually was, I liked the movie so much more.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel as messed up about it, but it's such a messed up ending that you can't help but kind of feel like, whoa. And that's a movie from France called Martyrs.
Oh, okay.
Horror film that will, it's a great movie. And the ending is so heroic and tragic and interesting at the same time. It's definitely worth a watch. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good one. I will say this, that the ones that have stuck with me the most are still those 80s horror films. Without a doubt. But if there was a film that really affected me with its exploration of horror concepts, I would say, funny enough, it was the movie Split. And I think James McAvoy deserved some kind of award for his acting in that movie. I thought he was great. I think that Anya was incredibly good in that movie. And the horror that drives both of them, which is the horror of abuse, familial abuse, is just incredibly well explored in a mythological sense. And it's crazy. Yeah, Zach Fernandez, I'd also love to hear what movies you talked about. I really loved all 80s horror. And the way the way I measure today's horror is how much of that messed up feeling I get at the end of it. I think, we all know those 80s horror movies that do this. And thank you again for I got to play the video. Thank you again for the super chat. This one, my friend, is for you. Gone but not forgotten. There you go. Yeah. I mean, it's so many. I can't even, the list would be over 10 for 80s horror movies that left me with that feeling. That's the amazing thing,
This is one of them.
Yeah, this is one of them.
I love the ending of this movie. This movie to me is it's like, I want to write a movie like this so that it can play at a drive-in and that girls will scream and grab their boyfriends and squeeze them and hold them and everyone will feel
absolutely
good.
Right.
Like, I want to make a drive-in horror film like this. And this had that ending I think is perfect for it. Is it a dream? Is it real? Then their friends all get in the car and they're like, let's go.
We got this one.
And it's Freddy's stripes on the hood. And then Freddy grabs her mom through the little tiny window in the door and pulls her whole body through it. And then credits.
And they were the thing about that got me was I was listening to many critique of that, and they were saying it's so fake, it's obviously fake. And I go, if you're watching that movie when that happens, you have no time to analyze it.
Your eye can't.
It just goes. It's just terrifying because you shoots through there. It is incredible. And I mean, and then I'm thinking of I'm sure there's The Witch freaked me out. That was a movie that stuck with me for a while.
Oh, The Witch.
Yeah. That one definitely, those twins were terrifying. I mean, I hate to point that out as the scariest part of that movie. And also, the sequence with the apple that he coughs up. Ooh, that was some scary stuff. We've got Lights Out from 2013. There you go. Yeah, that short was amazing. The short film. Gosh, cool. Mama was terrifying. Loved that one.
Mama,
great stuff.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's really freaked me out recently? I liked Don't Breathe. Did you see
like which one?
Don't Breathe.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. Anyway, what are some horror movies that you think Nightmare on Elm Street influenced?
Oh my gosh.
Because
it's so difficult to think about that with
definitely
with
the new Stranger Things. Yeah, does it just pretty brazenly and does it really well, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know why? Because they focused in on good visuals like that they repeated, like the clock. Things like that. Like they just did it right. Yeah, there's got to be some other good horror movies, guys. What does chat say that Nightmare on Elm Street inspired some other horror?
Yeah, what do you guys have? Are there any films you can think of that Nightmare on Elm Street inspired when you're thinking about its legacy of it, which I'm not sure here. Let me see. Horror movies relax me, says Rob the Replicator. Of course they do. Shanth and Jetty, The Entity stayed with me. Man, it was horrifying. Wow. Yeah, for you.
I love The Entity. Yeah. That's the one? Is that the one where she's getting abused by like the evil spirit of her ex? And she gets gets kind of sexually assaulted by a ghost.
There's some. I mean, that's right. That's a good scary.
Getting squeezed by invisible hands in that movie, so it's pretty hilarious too. I'll have to say.
Yeah, no, I'm saying late '80s ones get me. Wes Craven's Serpent and the Rainbow. Yeah, there's another one there.
It's a cursed movie.
Yeah, cursed movie. Nothing really great in the last 10 years, or nothing really in the last 10 years. Other Craven movies, Wishmaster. Yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he had a sensibility about that whole nightmare thing that's crazy. Ooh, Southbound was good too. Yeah, I guess there's some great ones, but we were in this. We didn't know how good we had it. I hate to get into that tone at this hour, but it's true. Like we had so many incredible movies
VHS
that
explosion.
Yeah, the kids know them today. If you ask them who was the scariest monster creatures, hey, what's up? Hail, Eric. Great to see you, our friend from the CG team. It's you look at it, you go, yeah, they're playing with. There's action figures in Target of our horror icons. Maybe Stranger Things is the only other thing you're going to see there, and I don't know if it's this season's kind of definitely got horror going on in it, but yeah, not really into horror anymore, says Ellie Munoz. But that last one I saw was Midsommar. But it wasn't horror as much as suspense. Yeah, I agree with that. It's very tough to.
I've never seen it. I don't like that guy. I think that guy makes weird hipster horror that I'm not into. Is there full frontal male nudity in that movie? I
have no idea.
You haven't seen it?
No idea.
Okay, I haven't. That's like one of the things he does in all his movies, and I just want to know if he keeps. You know what I mean? If it's in like that one too.
Yes.
But I don't want to watch it.
Like in Barbara Hershey, it was based on a supposedly true story about a woman who was raped by demons.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
But really liked Midsommar. Hey, listen, everybody is going to have their own.
Yes. Yeah.
Rob.
Midsommar's one of those interesting movies where you get people who really loved it and people who hated it.
Yes. Of course.
And that guy's film's all polarized though. So.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting thing because Nightmare on Elm Street, these were in many ways for their time horror blockbusters. They weren't making Star Wars money, but they knew who their audience was and they knew how to get what they were looking for to the audience. And it's funny, Rob jokes about it, and I think it's very true though. You'd go to see these movies and you were going to see everything that you needed to get a teenager's heart pulsing. You were going to see sexy naked girls in some instances. You were going to see blood. You were going to see
Johnny Depp.
You were going to see terror. You were going to see Johnny Depp
with great hair,
who brought all the girls and possibly quite a few of the boys to the yard. That's just
that was Nightmare on Elm Street too.
Yeah, it was Nightmare on Elm Street too. That's right.
Gayest horror movie ever.
That's right, man. People, but no, that's not possible, Vaughn, because nothing has been done before 2018.
What?
Yeah, this has all been invented recently. Oh yeah. Oh, I love the Color Out of Space. I have not seen it yet, but I just love Lovecraftian. I have not seen it yet.
I want to watch Color Out of Space.
Maybe we should do that for a future one.
We should.
Yeah, we're gonna already piling on Midsommar. It happens. Apologies, Ellie. Apologies that people are attacking Midsommar. Come on now. Same themes. It had a lot of the same themes as Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, very true. Yeah. Oh, there we go. I want to watch. That's good horror movies. The Apostle. There you go. Yeah. I love Lovecraft. Give me more of that. Alan Moore is really doing it justice with his comics. Yeah, I will tell you, there's a lot of Lovecraftian themes in Nosfero in my book. And I feel as though you've got a little bit of Lovecraft happening. Would you say?
Oh, there's definitely hat tips. Yeah.
Yeah.
To myself.
Yeah.
And you'll see it visually. Black Terror's mask when he gasses up Monica throwing some creepy Lovecraftian, like tentacly things. It's great. So yeah, there's always like a respect and like, you know, hat tips in my work here and there for him for sure, man.
Yeah, I mean, was it you and I were talking one time? Hey, Lloyd Burton, it's great to see you. Oh, can we do that one soon? Have you seen Life Force?
Yes, but a long time ago. I would want to rewatch for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's
Toby
definitely
Hooper does a space vamp. Is that
Toby
who did it?
Hooper.
Yeah.
And oh dear, what is her name? I'm blanking on it. Shoot, was it Matilda May? Is that what her name was?
I can't remember.
Because here's the thing I know about it. On the audio commentary with Toby Hooper for Life Force, it goes, could you sum up Life Force in a few words? And Toby Hooper said, Matilda May. That was the greatest, acknowledgement. Yeah. Hello, Lloyd Burton. Your painting is coming along great. Did you see Underwater? I was surprised how much I liked it. Total misstep not to market to the Lovecraft crowd. There you go.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, lots of censor bars for Life Force. Yeah, I don't think we could show screen caps from that.
May, baby.
That would be,
and
hail, real Sean Crummell. Yes, indeed.
Little Life Force.
I saw Life Force for the first time with the Shout Factory release of it. And the thing that I liked about it was I go, okay, this stuff would be very difficult to pull off in film in this day and age. I mean, anything can be done if you're willing to do it.
For sure.
But there's a freedom in those kinds of flicks that I think that we need, that we're craving right now, that kind of vitality.
Hey, I ain't got no money. Let's make a movie, Shanth.
Let's make a movie, man. Yeah. And Matilda May is the ultimate special effect in that flick. But I was painting, my character Laurel, in that sequence where she's trying to flee this gigantic snake. Again, the metaphors write themselves. And and she's standing there, and she is this beautiful woman in a transparent, nightgown as this gigantic Titanoboa is attacking. And I thought, this is the stuff that you really see in these movies. This is the iconic stuff that when people say, well, I mean, it's sort of like a throwback in a sense to address those things and to attack those kinds of things. And I always say, to them when they say that, it's like, so you're saying white, semi-transparent clothing and a young lady being chased went out with what? I mean, here you go.
Yeah, there it is. It's great imagery. She's as vulnerable as it gets. We're seeing through, even she's transparent. She's barefoot, dark alley. Yep. It's great, man. It's awesome. And is there an anaconda about to come out? Is Ice Cube around?
I know, we don't know.
Around. We don't know. But they used the giant snake, and nobody was complaining about transparent clothes on Jennifer Lopez. So hey,
absolutely right. Because
another good imagery.
Yeah, it gives you. It's the ultimate damsel in distress. It's the ultimate. Here we go.
Well,
Vaughn. Vaughn is the Dr. Kaufenstein's eye patch cosmetic, or is he missing one eye?
Someone took his eye in the war, and you'll find out.
Go. Oh, folks, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all demure now.
Demure.
That's right. Yeah.
I love the vulnerability of this. That's all. It's not saying women are weak or anything. It's just creating a very vulnerable moment for a teen who's like, what the hell is going on? Where am I? I'm about to get murdered in an alley. It's Chicago.
Yeah, this is the thing that I think people need to appreciate is that you'll never see. You have to be of such a caliber of a human being for you to be able to hold the attention a Nightmare on Elm Street thing in only an oversized shirt / nightie. This person is commanding your attention. This is someone who has captured.
Feminists would want to put this shirt on a dude and have him pantless in the alley, and it's just not the same. It's creepy on guys because our thingamawang hangs down past the thing, and then it's just we look like total weirdos. Like it's just
well,
not
we put
gonna
Johnny
work.
Depp in a crop top, and we saw what happened. And
His
we got
navel.
another.
Little
I gotta brace your ears, Vaughn, from Zach
Yeah.
Fernandez, 1999. That ain't cheap.
Ooh.
1999 from Zach Fernandez. Here we go. It's kind of hard to find because of the name, but Home Movie from 2008 is a great one. I feel like Vaughn might know this one.
No, I don't, and I
You
feel
don't?
bad. I should feel
Dang.
bad. I should see this. I should look.
Well,
it
I
up.
think that's going to be on one of our lists. So from 2008, Zach, any information you can give us in the chat in terms of directors, actors, to make it a little easier for us,
Oh, yeah, no problem.
to find it. But is there anything more attractive, at least for me anyway, than seeing a woman in an oversized shirt, particularly if it's yours? I don't think there's much better. But because of our fine super chat, I have to make sure that we salute you. Things happen. Things happen. So I mean, how you talked about how is she how is she fair as a best girl or the final girl in this movie? What's your take? What do you think?
Nancy kicks ass. And she kind of doesn't she get like a silver streak of hair by the end from the stress and the horror of it? That's awesome.
Yes.
Respect to the hair,
indeed.
the hair, the hero with the silver streak. I'm kind of getting a little silver streak on my side here. I can't wait.
You're turning into Nick Fury.
I was hoping for Ash from Evil Dead, but
there you go. Yeah, well, hopefully not by those means.
Yeah, man. I've got the white silver flaps of fury. But I think she fights to try to save her friends. She always tries to do what's right for the most part. And in the end, she's physically just whooping Freddy's ass when she pulls him in, dude. She's ready to go. She's got some Home Alone rigmarole stuff set up and totally owns him with that, then gets physical with him. I mean, this is a real deal hero, man. I like Nancy.
Well, that and the thing. Let's talk about how Nancy figures out how to get herself out of that first nightmare in school. That's where she earns her medal for me, man. That's where I'm like, respect. Right. Puts her hand up against the hot pipe and she's like, bitch, I'm out of here. That's what it is, man. Yeah. And you think about this too, which is this is the myth, and this is what we learn about Nancy in this story, right? Which is and this is the great lie that I think a lot of parents tell themselves, or I should say some parents tell themselves the wrong thing. They either think their kids are stronger than they are and they're wrong because they've been over sheltered, or they think they're weaker than they are because they've got some deep well of empathy or experience or the way they process things.
The overprotective parents.
That's right. For protecting, you're right.
Everything. Especially in the 80s, that's the soccer mom rose up or whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. Yeah. The cell by Tarsem Singh was really visually amazing. Eiko Ishioka did the costume designs for that. She was a genius, God rest her. Did Cirque du Soleil's Verikai, did Tarsem Singh's the other movies, The Fall, and a couple of other ones. But what a costume designer. And Tarsem Singh's visuals are great. But yes, women in oversized shirts. Well, this is the other funny thing about it, right? Is that just as guys have a right to their things that make them feel like women are attractive that are totally idiosyncratic, the same thing is true for women. I think we've lost both. I think we've sacrificed both on the altar of equity, I should say. You know what I mean? Or let's see, the blank slate theory to human beings, right? If I have to describe my friends, if someone says to me, what do you like about Vaughn? Like, what's your favorite qualities about him as a person? And my answers are the same as they would be for what do you like about, Eric Weathers or Rob Arnold or Michael Bancroft or any number of people that I'm friends with, then there's something seriously wrong. And if you look at it on a grander scale, women and men are so completely different, as evolution has led us to have, different kinds of bone densities, blah, blah, blah. What is attractive? If you don't understand what's attractive in a woman and you don't understand what's ugly in a woman or scary in a woman or beautiful in a woman, you can't create good characters. Do you get what I mean? Like one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was Kate Blanchett's Hela. She was fantastic in to me as a visual, well, the Kirby design, but as a visual. But when you see, if you've got,
She was cool.
She was pretty cool. But think about this: if you've got two twin boys with the little twirly caps like Tweedledee and Tweedledum at the end of a hallway in The Shining, it doesn't work as well as those twin girls in the Alice in Wonderland outfit.
Right.
That's freaking terrifying.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? And in this, Nancy is that girl you really feel like you could talk to. You care about her. To me, it's the character that you hopefully identify with, unless you identify with Freddy Krueger, and that's a whole nother thing.
She's hot.
Oh, there we go.
Like,
We got home movie.
She looks good. She's but she's like going through hell the whole movie, and I love that.
Yeah.
And she makes it believable enough, for the most part. Nobody listens. She's like, no, that's it. And she ends up becoming someone that they have to bring back in part 3.
Yes.
Who's helping other kids, which is a great character arc for her. I love that.
Yes, it is.
She's like trying to help kids with mental problems and stuff in the asylum. So, it's awesome.
Matt, we're talking about the original, the greatest, Matt, and it's great to have you here. Hail, my friend. Let's see here. Yeah, sexual dimorphism. Yes, absolutely. Dimorphism as in terms of evolutionary traits, right? Well, this gives us aesthetics to play with. That's the things that people don't when you're creating characters. When I'm creating a character like Lascivia, or if I'm creating even a character that's a creature, which I'm not going to specify, that may not have that element to it,
right?
That has me playing with bigger mythological concepts. But to create, you were talking about the sexy, Freddy Krueger, or say, the sexy girl wearing the, guy's football jersey only. Like, those are things that really only work in one direction for a reason. Those limitations give us ideas for where we can go. Do you get what I mean? Like, I like the limitations of these things. And I get frustrated by the fact that when people politicize certain things, Hail Shifter, Mattel have released a Barbie doll that resembles David Bowie in honor of the anniversary of Hunky Dory hitting the album charts. Barbie will sport a powder blue suit. Barbie is the Hugo Boss of dolls. There you go, right?
Styling.
Yeah, styling. Yeah. And but you know what I'm saying? It's like Freddy Krueger to me, the girl in the ring is terrifying. Do you know what I mean? Do you think a little boy crawling out of that well is going to work as well? I don't think so, man.
Well, no, I don't.
Well, no, I don't. That's exactly right, man.
Yeah.
And it's
okay. Look, here's the thing. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street brought together all the best visuals and story elements to tell like an unforgettable badass horror tale but because it had its own mythos to Freddy and how he was created and how he's the new boogeyman, you can't escape him, he's got the claw for a hand, like that gave it like a built-in viral ability, because when people talked about the movie, it didn't sound like they were talking about a movie. It sounded like they were talking about a real boogeyman that comes to you in your dreams. Like, it was like talking about when you learn about Bloody Mary for the first time as a kid. And
why isn't it Bloody Mark? Yes, we know the Mary Queen. Yes, but I mean to say is that think of how that sticks, right?
You're right. It goes back to what you were saying. Like, Bloody Mary is so scary compared to Bloody Todd.
Bloody King Henry V. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the idea of the mirror aspect of it. See, Vaughn, I feel like I need that Casablanca quote. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. It's like, I think that we have so many conversations about stuff that gets me thinking. We talk about things in the public domain.
Me too. Well, I mean, you're the professor, man. I always learn something cool from you every time we talk. It's great.
Well, it's I don't even know how to respond to that. So I believe what is that? Thank you, I think is what I'm looking for there.
So like, I don't know. Back to Nightmare on Elm Street. It reminds me of like the reason it hasn't been that emulated, I think, is because like, how do you top like the guy in the dreams? You know what I mean? And if you have your guy come after him in the dreams, everyone's just like, well, that's been done. Like, so it's tricky to like top it or emulate it. You know, it's so interesting. And the idea of like what happens to you in your dream happens to you physically. So someone's watching you and your throat's opening up in front of them. I mean, that's some great horror too.
It is.
So it's there's just so many things that come together. It makes you realize how good stories are a lot of good things firing on all cylinders coming together to create a tasty dish, if you will. And also say something. This one was great, man. Who as a teenager didn't feel like adults aren't listening to you?
Yeah.
You know, that's what this movie is. And little girls, like you were saying, the imagery of little innocent girls singing songs and jumping rope is now scaring us to death.
Yeah, someone said to me, I said when I was teaching at the last college I was at, someone said to me, they go, what would you like to do for Halloween that would be cool? The things I'd like to do, and I think someone even made a thing that did this. It was a cheaper version. Is I would want a radio controlled tricycle that gave off audio of children laughing that I could just drive around at night in circles.
Is it like a button or does it just
I've got a radio control and I've got a button on it and the tricycle plays a child laughing as it circles and drives around by itself empty.
I would love to film like you confronting random people with that item.
Yes. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. And we look at these these kids, like that's what my idea of scary. So when I look at this stuff and I think about,
pure horror,
pure horror, right? Children, exactly. And you know what's so funny is when Antoine Dennison is saying, another professor, hail Professor Antoine.
Whoa.
Antoine is in the chat and he says, that there's something about, women are typically nurturers. Well, they're definitely nurturers for all of us up until about, viability, or else we ain't here. We don't really have a working artificial uterus at this point. So there is this, what is it? And Joseph Campbell talked about that. There is no doorway into this existence, not through woman. And go ahead.
When guys see women doing horrific stuff or horror things happen to them, it freaks us out. Like it's freaky. Like it's different in the movie theater reaction wise. When we see a guy doing horrible things versus a girl, it's different. But like this, now I'm starting to realize something. I always just took this for granted, the girls jumping rope, as just creepiness for the sake of it and doing a cool song. I've never really analyzed it until now, and I'm realizing like these are kids from the 60s. These are the parents.
They are
the parents when they were kids, and they were singing the song of Freddy, even though the parents, their parents had like burnt him alive.
Yep.
They're singing the song and carrying the boogeyman tune, which they would then grow up to, of course, to, hide. So that's really, really cool. It's like the remnants of the past, or Nancy's able to see them in the dreams, Or maybe they were singing these songs before Freddy was even burnt up, and Freddy himself saw little girls singing this song because, he was the local boogeyman by then.
I mean, I'm telling you what, you're spot on with that. And I had a student. This is the thing about fear that we get, right? So when I was growing up, a group of people I was with, we started something that was called the Great Scaring War, as it came to be known. All right. Now, what did the Scaring War involve? I'm not going to go into that on YouTube. But what I can tell you is how it ended. It ended with a bunch of us sat at a table going, well, I think we all know why we're here. Shit's clearly gotten way out of hand. And we need to sign some kind of a treaty.
Did somebody lose a finger or an eye or what?
No. It was just like the constant stress. Hail Angela Curry. Hail Moroni. Great to see you guys.
Who's going to scare you next?
Yeah, we did some stuff, right? And the thing about it is that for me, I remember I had a student when I was teaching. There was a narrow glass wall, and a student came down in a werewolf mask and peeked in the room right when I was in the middle of teaching. Look over, see through this little glass door that there was a werewolf mask. And I looked over, got up, walked over there, and I said, this is an art school. That didn't work. I was like, that didn't work. If you want to freak me out,
like werewolves here.
what you need to do is you need to get a life-sized printout of my face and peek through that glass. That would freak me out, man. It's like there's like, you know,
Shanth, it's you. Open the door.
I know, dude.
That's what I'd be like.
People don't get that, you know, and it's what I love about Night of the Living Dead. What I like about the original Dawn of the Dead. It's that.
What do you think about these girls? Are they victims? Are they the parents when they were kids?
They're ghosts.
Are they some of Freddy's victims? Ghosts.
Look at them. I mean, they are and they aren't, but we know what.
All white, purity, little pigtails, little pink bows, pure Americana.
Yep.
Pure purity, about to get, you know, and this is what Freddy would see, right? And he'd be like, I can't wait to tear that to pieces.
That is right.
Because he's a sicko. Like, it's amazing. It's, you know, who knows? Do they show the backstories of these little girls or show them as little corpses later? I don't remember.
I'm trying to think of what they show when it's all said and done. All I know is, and if this isn't, you know, Angela Curry, it's like a bar crawl, show to show. So true with Comicsgate. And this is the thing, you know, that to me about it is when I was a kid, everybody in my school, in my elementary school, would sing this nursery rhyme.
Right.
Now,
and the kid named Freddy, was he always like, awesome?
Probably.
Or was he like, no, stop?
No, he was like, stop being mean to me in his red and black. When
the kids would sing it, you would think of this movie, and it kept it like viral without the internet. Like it kept it in our consciousnst. It was really cool.
American folklore created in 1984. That's the genius of this, you know, and just like the what do you call it? Just like when you think about this, you know, Spider-Man created in the 60s. I think it's important to know how recent that is. You know, how
in the
recent
scheme of things.
Yeah, in the scheme of things, it is so recent. Mickey Mouse was not even 100 years old at this point. And that thing is an icon that will at some point diminish, and there will need to be newer icons. The Greeks still win, the Egyptians still win, you know, but it's you look at this stuff and you're blown away. Yeah, it's innocent but frightening at the same time. And it's the pace they sing at. It's the speed of the jump rope, you know, that nice, graceful, slow motion quality to it. And we create horror that way. And I've always said the difference between a good horror movie and a great horror movie is the inclusion of children.
This sucks. I wish I had thought of this idea. You know, this is too good. The little girls jumping rope and singing the tune, creeping everyone out. Too good. You guys nailed that, and no one else can really copy that. But still, there's other creepy ways. Yeah, The Shining, like you said, used it really well. I mean, creepy kids. What can I say? They're definitely weird and creepy sometimes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead, the motorcycle guys fight is great. I love how many CG streams are going nowadays. It allows fans to stream crawl. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Pick your poison and crawl on over to the stream. And I would say, you know, the thing for me that I was really enjoying about Terror in the Trenches and the thing, because we talk about that a lot. There's some blood in Terror in the Trenches. There's some blood that tends to come out of one's midsection often. Or not Terror. In Monster MD. In Monster MD.
Oh yeah, man.
And my connection to those characters, Vaughn, you have to understand. I'm reading this and I'm going, oh God. It's great.
Yeah.
You feel it.
You gotta make it. Yeah, I'm. It's weird because some people look at the art and they think it might be more on the kids' side or more. You know, it's animated, so you know. No, there's beheadings and gore and cuss words and just like badassery. I mean, isn't that how you really wish Bruce Timm stuff was anyway?
Yeah, you do.
Like, let's just take it next level. Let's be a little more. I've always, when I was a kid, what was the coolest thing ever? Like catching Heavy Metal on Cinemax or whatever, right? Like adult animation. You know, I feel like my comics are definitely influenced by, you know, because when I was a kid going to the comic book stores, I wanted the more violent books that had more adult deaths and serious things happening, because I felt like I wanted to be, you know, on that level as a reader. I guess I looked up to the older, cooler kids. So
yeah, I mean,
I guess that comes out in my writing.
Look at this.
Yeah, man. Now we're making
it. We are so close right now to 70K for Terror in the Trenches. This is, of course, Vaughn's latest project. You can get as an add-on Monster MD, his first project, and the beloved Heidi, character everyone loves. over 1,000 backers, and just a fantastic book. All of these great bundles. You can get the digital deluxe, signed comic, which of course is what I have to get always. T-shirt of the character, signed comic plus 2-sided poster. And then you've got, look at this, the signed and comic and print set. The Terror Gas vial
still
is there.
51 out of 100 of those. So
Dude,
there's still some left over if you guys want to get in on those. They're awesome.
And the only zoom, sorry, I'm trying to zoom with my geriatric ass. There we go. We've got that.
Hand painted.
It's going to be a thing of beauty.
Cool,
and then this is Bruce Timm on steroids, folks.
Yes, sir.
This is how we get it done.
I was looking at Monster MD recently again and reading it, and then going back to this and reading this. Eric has pretty much finished the preliminary letters on all the pages. So now we're just going to do like polish and hand do some sound effects. And it's going to be so good. But I've been reading these books, man. I am so pumped for you guys to read this. My writing levels have gotten so much better since then. And I'm just really proud of how everything came together on this. What else can I say? I think it's a step up from Monster MD in a way, in a cool superhero way, which I've always wanted to do. So I'm kind of glad I'm doing it now, because I want to get more into Monster MD and all these other cool books, but I want to get out my, need to do a cool, dark superhero. So yeah, man, let's do 3 books of this, right? Get it out of my system and tell an epic tale.
The stuff you're doing is just straight what we need from comics, man.
It's pulpy. Yeah,
it's pulpy. It's fun. It's beautifully crafted, and you are a hell of a storyteller.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Dude, this is the thing. Like, if this is a step up from Monster MD, that is quite an accomplishment, because Monster MD I thought was a beautiful story. Oh, and I've just spent a lot of time with Heidi. So
yes, I've been
very much
every nook and cranny.
Yeah, exactly right, man. So let's see let's refresh it, see where we are. We're still in the same place here. We are, guys. I want to see if we can get that to move just a little bit. If somebody backs this, let us know your backer number in the chat who has not backed it yet. But this is a fantastic book, guys. I love it. Hail, American Comics Company. You're always in good company when American Comics Company is here. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Harley Mechanic outside of Pittsburgh. You know, a lot of bikers in Dawn of the Dead. Cool. Oh, sweet.
Neat.
Yeah. Love that movie.
Oh man. Yeah, man. This book is, it's such a weird combination of things that I love in the way I write. Like, in a way, I gotta say this book is kind of, it turns into a battle manga in a way, because it's big, long, grueling fights. But the way I write it, dude, it's not just a big, long, grueling fight for the sake of it, even though there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. I love a good throwdown in any movie or book.
Yes.
There's more going on in these fights, guys, with the characters and the flashbacks and what's going on internally, their internal struggles. Like, I really love the way this at face value just looks like a violent, pulpy, whatever, like superhero knives book. But it, like, when it comes to all the layers of it, there's so much humanity. There's so much. This is such a haunted hero. Black Terror is so cool as a character. And I don't think we've ever really realized that with him on the shelves yet. So it's just an honor to get to do that with this story. So thanks, guys.
The picture where so far, he's wiping the dust off of the photo of his wife, I'm going to assume, unless everything comics has taught me is a lie. And I just love that. And right here, guys, we are at 26K. We got another couple of backers this week. We are heading towards 27 and over 26K, guys. There is the comic. 200. How many backers do we have now? 414. 206 of the comic. 138 comic plus the print, which will not be edited. And if you like Lovecraft, that is your ultimate Frazetta meets Lovecraft.
Amazing.
Image. And this is the fully painted comic. And since Rob's been hassling me to get more of the new pages up, that's a big part of what I'm doing this week.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. This man knows no panels. He lets the panels carve themselves as the story gets told, which is just beautiful looking. These are like works of art some like rich vampire would have like hanging in like one of his castles, and he'd be like, oh yes, and these would be like taking up a whole wall, you know, and he'd be like, yes, and walk by it. It's so cool, man. Look at that. That is, you could hear it, you could feel it. You it's alluring, yet it's horrific. Yeah, man.
When you talk about my work and I interrupt you when you're saying nice things, tell me to shut the fuck up, because it is one of the hardest things in the world for me to do. Thank you, Vaughn. I appreciate it. I'm so bad at it.
It's like this is like this painting in particular. This is like you. This is the things you love in like one place, like set up like a totem pole, like a totem ritual thing. You know what I mean? Because it's all here. You've got your Lovecraftian and your mystery. Then you've got your werewolf. You've got your bats. You've got your, the serpents. Yeah. Oversized serpents. And you've got your luscious lady.
And
luscious lady form.
It's
great.
I feel like I've been looking for Comicsgate and you guys my entire life to talk pulp and all this great stuff. And, I will say this, the art books are available as an add-on if you back certain tiers. So yeah, there are art books still available. I think you can get them as an add-on for the book and print, if I'm not mistaken. But there should be still some available there. That's so sick. Yeah, people are sleeping on Nosfero. I think that when I put the next round of pages up, I think you're going to see another jump. And with all of these books, and Vaughn, I've done 2 art books. I fulfilled those books, but I think that when it comes to CG, I think once people see the whole book coming together, there's going to be a lot of backers on it.
Johnny lately, yeah.
Yeah, I look to Vaughn for his experience, and Eric and everybody's, because Vaughn has launched now 2 separate properties and 2 characters and stories that are just completely, I don't want to say they're completely different in their approach, because those books hang so well together. I think I feel like there's an understanding of your universe through those books and your taste. My style. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Oh, and you just have excellent taste, man. And thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, man. Thanks.
But we're trying to do this.
Yeah, we are, man. I think you deliver this book, you get it in hands, people talk about it. A lot more people will show up for your second book. Kind of like Roquefort pulled off really well.
Dude.
Yeah, Groken. Good stuff.
Kenneth taught me the secret, and I'm telling you guys, if you guys are wondering what the secret is, the secret's simple. A book with a name that nobody knows what the hell it is the ultimate way to create a book whose first printing of their first issue is going to go up in value, because people are like, what the heck is this? And then they back it, and then they're like, oh man, I missed that thing. But hopefully there'll be some time for people. I'm going to announce when I'm closing the campaign down. We still have some time. There's going to be a couple of other things put up there, some artwork and some original stuff that's trading cards. But before we go, let me switch. Let me remove this right here. Stop screen. And then I'm going to try to switch to... Oh, dear. I don't even know if I can do this. Hang on a second. All right. Well, for all of you guys who backed at the head sketch tier, I know Lloyd Burton has been in and around here. This is the underway head sketch for that tier. Let me see if I can get that out. There we go. Of The Bride of Frankenstein. And it's still in progress, but these are what those head sketch tiers are going to be. And then page-wise, as we put this stuff together, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with.
Are you selling these pages, or are you keeping these?
No, I'm keeping these, but I will be selling some of the trading card stuff. And then where's that page I was just telling you about? Yeah, this page right here, which you've seen, and I was just putting these are great
works of dude. How when this comes out, man, people need to be talking about this book. This is insane. This is crazy stuff. I love it. It's works. These are works of art, man. Are people in Europe hassling you yet to like paint for them or make books for them? Oh my god.
Well, yeah, awesome. We'll see, man. Right now, as you know, and I got to make sure it's not in frame because I don't want to get either of us in trouble. I moved that camera. I just noticed the corner of it was in frame.
You're cool.
But yeah, the only people I'm doing stuff for are the people who back the Head Sketch tier. I'm going to be selling the originals for the trading card art that we unlocked. That's going to come with everybody's, but it's going to be. Don't worry. Oh, I did one today, so you're going to enjoy it. It also helps if you don't suck. That's the key.
Is Nosfero like your opus, your magnum opus?
I think right now it is. It's
at the moment. Yeah.
I mean that in the sense of I try not to think too far ahead, but I like everybody. I've self-published comics. I've worked in comics, and I've been looking for that character that connected to everything I love. And you know me. I love Halloween. I love horror movies. I love haunted houses. I love superheroes. I love pulp. I love the Gotham City designed by Anton Furst for the Batman 1989 film. You know, the sort of dripping kind of creaky thing. And I wanted to create, using a word based on, Nosferatu, but with like the more ferocious ending. I wanted to create a character that could stand toe-to-toe with these classic monsters in a way that I think that Van Helsing, as wonderful as he is, can't. I wanted to show the good that goes bump in the night, if that makes sense. And that was my goal. Of course.
That's great. Yeah.
That's the joy of it.
There is the joy of it, because this isn't just something we just do to do. Like there's a personal gratification we want to get out of our work. Otherwise, why the hell do it? Yeah. We're putting ourselves through hell to put this stuff together. But it's also like we're working through things as we do it. And these are our escapes. No matter how bad things are, I can always jump into the world of Wyatt and Heidi and get away for a little bit, write some cool stuff.
You guys, I think you guys they're not the people who back these books, all of you amazing people backing these books and moving Terror in the Trenches, and moving Nosfero the Crypt Walker. You guys want some escapism. You want some beauty. You want some sexiness. And as funny as it is to think of this in the same terms, a horror movie is horrifying in a wonderful way that makes you want to go experience it like a roller coaster. And if it doesn't live up to the premise, then it's not a great experience. If it exceeds the premise, you get Nightmare on Elm Street. You get the classics. And that's what Vaughn and I love to celebrate. That's what we're here for, guys.
Yeah. Good storytelling that people will come back to and remember and enjoy for centuries to come.
Right on.
We chase the story dragon, you and I, Shanth.
Absolutely, we do.
That's why we appreciate the things like Nightmare on Elm Street, because that Freddy, he's gonna be in our dreams forever now because of this.
Yeah,
because of this movie.
Absolutely. Fireworks going off outside. Can you say something patriotic to go with it, Vaughn? What have you got?
Ask not what you can do for Comicsgate. No, actually, ask what you can do for Comicsgate, not what it can do for you. We've said that before in the past. People, but no, I'll say patriotic though. Patriotic. Come on, like, you know what? Let's root for America for a change, everybody.
That's
because it's just so boring and sick having people go, "Oh, we were never really great, bro." Like, screw those people. America rules.
Yes.
Let's enjoy it while we can before it all gets destroyed. We might be in the streets soon, fighting to stay alive. So. Enjoy your summer, everybody.
Exactly. And here's what it comes down to for me, and I think about this all the time, so I'll read from what we should read for if you've got fireworks going on outside for our wrap up here. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. And I think these are the things that we try to do here as artists and as creators. And I am proud that these ideals are reflected in what we're doing. Hail freedom, hail liberty, hail all of you guys. Hail chat, and thank you to my brother from another mother, Von Klaus. I bow to you, sir.
Dude,
this is
you're
a real
amazing.
pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me. Another amazing showdown.
Yeah, we love it, guys, and we'll have more
Hail
fun
freedom,
coming down the
guys.
pike. Absolutely, guys. All right, gang, I'm going to be, I'll play us out, and then we'll shoot the shit for a few seconds afterwards if you have a moment. And yeah, guys, thank you for being here. And here we go. We'll keep it short.
Unpleasant dreams.
Unpleasant dreams. That's right, guys. Take care.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you? People always go mad in some places. I hate to even